Unlock your potential in 60 seconds. Sounds crazy? Maybe, especially if you still believe the outside world holds more power than your inner strength. But let's be clear, it's not about time, money, or resources. The real roadblock: you're on the wrong frequency. And if you don't change that, nothing changes. It's like trying to get an FM radio station on an AM receiver. You fiddle with the knobs, curse the technology, but the truth is simple. You won't pick up the right signal unless you're tuned in. Ever felt like you're trying to transform your life while stuck on the wrong station? You wake up each day hoping for a breakthrough, craving opportunity, searching for a sign. But you stay locked onto the same old frequency: fear, insecurity, scarcity. And what happens when you broadcast that frequency? You attract more of the same: more debt, more discouragement, more feelings of helplessness. Everything vibrates. This isn't some self-help mumbo-jumbo, it's science. Physics proves everything in the universe oscillates, including your thoughts. And those thoughts carry measurable energy, real energy you constantly radiate. The crucial question is, are you broadcasting the frequency of what you want or what you fear? Your phone, yes, that thing in your hand, only receives calls when it's on the same frequency as the caller. Your mind is the same. You only connect with what resonates with you. It's not punishment, it's resonance. You crave prosperity but vibrate scarcity. You desire a healthy relationship but vibrate neediness. You seek opportunities but vibrate the fear of failure. I get it. I've been there. I bounced from dead-end job to dead-end job, hand-injured, working factories and gas stations. Nothing felt promising. Nothing seemed to work. Yet deep down something told me, there's more. But I couldn't tune into that more. My thoughts were too busy lamenting what I lacked, until that book fell into my hands, Think and Grow Rich. It wasn't magic, it was physics, it was vibration. That book shifted my mental frequency. For the first time, I connected with abundance, possibility, a vision of a different future. What happens when you change your frequency? Your ideas change. The people around you change. Opportunities that seemed non-existent suddenly emerge, not because the world changed, but because your tuning did. Consider this: if your life reflects your mental frequency, what have you been attracting? Do you honestly believe someone who spends their days thinking, it's not possible, it's not for me, that only works for others, will suddenly be rewarded with an extraordinary life? Of course not. The universe is precise. It gives you back what you put out, no more, no less. And this isn't about faking happiness. It's not about delusion. It's about adjusting your mental antenna to what you truly desire. Why do so many people try to change their lives and fail? They change the desire, but not the frequency. It's like trying to follow the right path with the wrong map. You might think it's complicated, but shifting your frequency takes an instant. It's a decision, a choice. Saying, from now on, I stop thinking small. I stop repeating what I've been taught. I stop tuning into limitation. Most people repeat, I don't know if I can, it's not for me, that would never work for me. But let me ask you honestly, what if that very thought is blocking everything you want? You're in control. The choice is yours. Your life changes when you change your frequency. Not tomorrow now. You weren't born thinking the way you do now. You learned it. Every thought of scarcity, every limiting belief about money, every idea that you're not good enough, it was taught, repeated, programmed. And worse, you didn't even realize it. It's like living with software installed by others, parents, teachers, friends, neighbors. They didn't mean harm, but they gave you what they had. And what did they have? Fear, belief in limitation, a worldview based on survival, not creation. Ever caught yourself saying, wait, when I have money, I'll start my business. When my kids are grown, I'll pursue my dream. When things calm down, I'll do it. That's programming. It creates the illusion that your time hasn't come yet. It traps you in almost, maybe, someday. I've seen it my entire life. Intelligent people, brilliant ideas, the talent to transform the world, paralyzed, choking daily on the same thing: doubt. What if I told you it's not your fault? that you're simply acting according to the program you were given, and more importantly, that you can change that program. Years ago, a woman came to me. She'd worked in an office for over 20 years, efficient, dedicated, dreaming of entrepreneurship. But every time she thought about quitting and starting her business, something blocked her. She said, "Bob, I know I have potential, but I can't. I feel something holding me back." I said, "Of course you do. That something is your paradigm." A paradigm is a set of beliefs, values, and habits that control your behavior, even if you don't realize it. It's like trying to drive forward with your foot on the brake. You accelerate, but you don't move, or worse, you burn out the engine. When did she break free? When she stopped waiting to have everything planned, when she understood that the plan comes after the decision, never before. She decided. She quit. She launched her business. 6 months later, she wrote, saying she earned more than in her 20 years of formal employment. More importantly, she felt alive. This isn't about money. It's about freedom. It's about breaking free from the invisible prison that prevents you from living the life you were born to live. Ever seen someone who hates their job but doesn't leave because they're afraid? Because they think they won't find a better one? Because they think of their kids, rent, what others will say? That person is a prisoner, not of their boss or salary, but of the paradigm that says it's better to settle than to try. And then we watch the days pass, the ideas die, the dreams fade, all because someone said a long time ago, "Don't dream too big. Be careful not to be disappointed. You're not like them." But what if you are? What if you're more than they said, more than you think, more than your bank account shows today? You'll never know unless you reprogram your mind. The biggest tragedy? It's not failing while trying. It's never trying because you're programmed to fail. So today I tell you, don't wait for money. Don't wait for security. Don't wait for others' approval, because if you keep waiting, you'll wait until the end. And maybe you won't even realize that the only thing separating you from the life you wanted was a decision. The decision to break free from autopilot, to break the old code, to update your internal system, and finally, live according to who you truly are. Thought is energy. Not just any energy, but an invisible force that transcends time and space, shapes decisions, moves realities, and inevitably attracts what's in tune with it. Surprisingly, most people think as if this has no consequence, as if it's possible to maintain a recurring negative thought and still expect an extraordinary life. It's like poisoning a plant and expecting it to bloom. Now pause and observe your life. Look closely at your results, your income, relationships, health, daily routine. Absolutely everything is a direct reflection of what you think most often. It might be hard to hear, but it's liberating when you understand. Because if your thoughts determine your life, you have the power to change everything. Just change what you think. But people say, "Oh, Bob, it's hard to control thoughts." No, it's not. What's hard is continuing to live in scarcity, frustration, and stagnation. It's hard to spend your whole life ignoring your power and blaming the government, your boss, time, luck, others. Ever notice how your mind sometimes seems to sabotage everything? You make plans, start enthusiastically, and then that thought pops up. What if it doesn't work? And you freeze. Not because you lack the ability, but because you gave more power to the thought of doubt than to the thought of confidence. What I've learned, observing thousands of people over the years, those who thrive are those who've learned to protect life's most valuable space, their minds. They don't let just any thought in. They choose what they think, visualize, and nurture, because they know that thought becomes feeling, feeling becomes action, action becomes result. Want to change your life? Stop thinking "I can't" and start thinking "How can I?" Stop thinking "This is impossible for me," and start thinking "What's stopping me from getting there?" Because thought creates frequency, and frequency creates the result. I remember a man, an insurance salesman, who once came to me. He was broke, emotionally exhausted, and said, "Bob, I don't know what to do anymore. I try everything, but nothing works." I asked, "Do you really try everything? Or do you just think about everything that could go wrong?" He stopped, looked at me silently, and burst into tears. Because in that moment, he understood that he'd been programming himself to lose for years, not for lack of talent, but for an excess of negative thoughts. From that day on, he decided to change his inner dialogue. Every day, before bed and upon waking, he repeated to himself, "I am a successful professional. I am a millionaire mind. I attract clients easily." He didn't believe it at first, of course not. His old paradigm was still trying to dominate, but he persisted. Weeks later, he started seeing results. More calls, more closings, more self-confidence. Today, he's one of the top names in his industry. Science shows that about 80% of daily thoughts are negative and repetitive. 80%. If you don't take control, your mental pattern will be the same as the day before, creating a tomorrow identical to yesterday. Do you really believe you'll achieve a life of freedom by thinking like someone trapped? Do you think you'll attract abundance by constantly saying you don't have it? Do you think you'll achieve self-love by mentally repeating everything negative they told you in the past? Enough. You have the power to choose a new thought now, and that thought can generate a new feeling, which generates a new action, which brings a new result. That's how change begins. Not with money, not with a degree, but with a single new thought consciously chosen, repeated until it creates a new reality. And it all starts with you. The question is, which thought will you choose to nurture from now on? Something inside you never stops calling you, even when everything seems fine, even when you have stability, security, routine. That voice persists, subtle yet insistent. It's not saying you're ungrateful, it's saying you're not yet complete. You're not yet living what you were born to live. That dissatisfaction you feel, that restlessness that appears out of nowhere, isn't a defect. It's a sign, a silent nudge from life saying, you were born for more. No matter how long you've tried to convince yourself otherwise, that voice won't go away, because it's your spirit. And the spirit always wants expansion, growth, total expression. The problem is, from an early age, we were taught to silence that voice. They said wanting more was selfish, changing was dangerous, dreaming big was foolish. So you tried to fit in, be reasonable, convince yourself that the life you have is good enough. But good enough will never be enough for someone born to flourish. Ever felt like you're doing everything right and still feel like you're wasting time? Waking up every day and asking, is this all there is? You're not crazy. You're just hearing the truest part of yourself trying to emerge. And when you ignore that part for too long, something inside starts to hurt. You begin to sabotage yourself, procrastinate, lose energy. It's unnatural to live below your essence. I saw this with an acquaintance in the arts. He had everything, fame, money, prestige, but inside, an emptiness nothing filled. He said something I'll never forget. "Bob, I hear applause all the time, but I don't hear myself anymore." Shortly after, he spiraled into self-destruction, not because he was weak, but because he ignored his soul's call for too long. Now look at your life honestly. What inside you is begging to be lived and you keep postponing? What's trying to be born and you insist on keeping it imprisoned? The spirit doesn't want comfort. It wants expression. It wants the thrill of trying something new. It wants the sparkle in the eyes of someone who feels guided by purpose. That's where many people get lost, thinking they're wrong for wanting more. But the desire for growth isn't empty ambition. It's spiritual nature. Look at a tree. It grows. Look at water. It seeks movement. Look at the sky. It expands. Everything in the universe is expanding. Why should you be the exception? When I started listening to that restlessness inside me, I still worked a routine that exhausted me. Nothing against the work itself. It was honest, dignified, but it didn't fulfill me. I remember the night I stopped and faced that emptiness. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just understood. I understood that that feeling of lack of meaning was my spirit saying, you were created for something greater, and it's time to follow. And following isn't easy. It will require courage. It will make you let go of secure things. It will make you misunderstood by many. But what's worse than that? Spending your whole life denying, betraying, omitting yourself. So if something inside you asks for more impact, more freedom, more truth, don't silence it. That's not ego. It's essence. And it won't stop calling until you finally answer. You don't need to know how it will happen. You just need to decide that it will. One of the biggest traps keeping people stuck. They believe they need to see the whole path before taking the first step. That's not how the universe works. Life doesn't give you the entire map at once. It reveals the next section after you decide to walk. You were taught to act only when you have guarantees. They said it's reckless to make decisions without certainty, a plan, security. But let me tell you, total security doesn't exist. Absolute certainty doesn't exist. If you wait for everything to be in the right place, you'll wait for the rest of your life. How many times have you said, "I'll only go when I have money. I'll only start after I finish that course. As soon as things calm down, I'll take action." That kind of thinking keeps you in the same place. It operates on a frequency of postponement, conditioning. I only deserve it when... Most people don't fail from trying and failing. They fail because they never decide. They wait. They wait for the right moment. They wait to have everything resolved. They wait for others' approval. And without realizing it, they bury their own dreams. I've been there. I remember the day I decided to leave the fire department. I had no money, no degree, no business plan. But I had a decision. And that decision, however simple, was the trigger that set everything in motion. True decisions aren't made based on circumstances. They're made based on what you want to create. You don't decide based on what you have. You decide based on what you want to achieve. Because if you only decide when conditions are perfect, you'll never decide. Years ago, I met a young man who dreamed of becoming a speaker, but he said, "I'm not ready yet." I asked, "Why?" He replied, "Because I haven't taken all the courses." I looked him in the eyes and said, "You'll never feel ready. That's why you need to get on stage as soon as possible." A few months later, he went up, trembling, insecure, but he did it. Today, he speaks to thousands. And what does he always tell me? The decision to do it without being ready is what transformed me. Do you think great achievements are made by people who were prepared? No, they're made by people who were decided. That decision creates such a powerful, clear vibration that it starts attracting resources, people, ideas, paths. But nothing happens before the decision. Nothing. Doubt paralyzes. Decision liberates. Even if it seems like everything is against you. If you truly decide, the universe begins to move. Because true decisions have frequency. They vibrate, they transmit, they create. So if you feel stuck, unclear, lacking energy, maybe it's not because you lack an answer. Maybe it's because you lack a decision, and when the decision comes, it reorganizes everything. The answers appear, the fears lessen, the ideas align. Tell me something. Are you waiting for the right moment, or are you willing to create the right moment? The choice is yours, and it can be made now. You don't need to have everything ready. You just need to be ready to decide. Ever wondered why, even doing everything right, life still seems stuck? You study, work hard, are a good person, but deep down, you feel like you're going in circles, like something invisible is pulling you back every time you try to move forward. You might think the problem is the world or others, but what no one told you, and I need to tell you now, is that there's a more dangerous lock than any external obstacle. The feeling of unworthiness. You can have the best plan, the best opportunity, even the best talent, but if deep down you don't believe you deserve it, you'll sabotage everything yourself. You'll procrastinate, get distracted, make excuses, settle for less, even while dreaming big. This feeling of unworthiness doesn't appear written on your forehead. It camouflages itself in phrases like, "I don't know if I'm good enough. There are people much better than me. Will anyone listen to me?" You repeat this question unconsciously, building an emotional prison. Many believe optimism is enough, but let me clarify. Positivity is ineffective if you harbor guilt, shame, or insecurity. Those emotions resonate louder than any positive affirmation. I observed this in a woman who approached me after a lecture. She was brilliant, brimming with groundbreaking ideas, yet somehow she was stuck. Projects stalled, praise deflected, and just as a major deal was about to close, a self-inflicted snag would appear. Unconsciously, she was her own worst enemy, a saboteur disguised as self-doubt. Deep down, she didn't believe she deserved success. Years of conditioning, the belief that wealth corrupts, ambition makes women arrogant, and modesty trumps excellence, had become her unshakable internal narrative. But this isn't fate, it's programming. and any program can be rewritten. You deserve everything you deeply desire, not because of a flawless resume or a perfect life, but simply because you exist. Your very being is proof the universe wants you to thrive. Neuroscience has shown our brains can't distinguish between vivid mental imagery and reality. So visualize daily your triumphs, feel the exhilaration of victory, train your emotions to resonate with deservingness, transform your inner identity, and watch your actions, posture, and decisions shift accordingly. Life responds differently when you stop hiding. While you vibrate on the frequency of guilt, insecurity, and what-ifs, you attract experiences that confirm those beliefs. Shift to confidence, self-acceptance, and deservingness, and the universe will answer in kind. Doors will open, influential people will appear, and previously unimaginable opportunities will suddenly make perfect sense. You don't need to become better to deserve more. You need to acknowledge who you already are. Your worth isn't contingent on achievement, it's inherent. Stop self-flagellation over the past. I challenge you to a 7-day experiment. Every morning, eyes closed for 2 minutes, say aloud, I deserve, I receive, I am grateful. Feel it deeply. Look yourself in the mirror. Let it resonate through your entire being. Be amazed by the changes around you, not magic, but the result of dismantling self-sabotage and stepping into abundance. Embrace the frequency of knowing, not just thinking, but knowing you deserve an extraordinary life. That life already exists, just on a different frequency. Access it by changing your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. You don't need more time or luck. You need a sincere decision to stop living below your potential. If this resonated, you've taken the first step. The next is in the video appearing on your screen, where we climb another rung on this transformative journey. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video, where you'll become a little bit better than you are now.